The champagne bubbles caught the light from the crystal chandeliers as I walked into Lana's architecture firm launch party. Everyone was dressed to impress, networking like their lives depended on it. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd quietly bankrolled this entire operation, and now I was watching my wife play hostess to Boston's elite like she'd built this empire with her bare hands. Rylan. Lana's voice cut through the chatter. She approached with that practiced smile she reserved for cameras and clients. Perfect timing. She handed me a yellow envelope, thick with legal documents. The room seemed to quiet around us, though that might have been my imagination. Or maybe it wasn't. Jasmine from PR was definitely filming this on her phone, and several investors had turned to watch. What's this? I asked, though something in my gut already knew. Divorce papers. Sign them and leave. Her voice was steady, almost businesslike. Tonight. The cameras flashed. Guests murmured behind their champagne glasses. Across the room, I spotted Hale Trenwick, Lana's supposed mentor, watching with barely concealed satisfaction. His hand rested possessively on the small of some woman's back. No, wait. That was my wife's back he'd been touching earlier. I didn't open the envelope. Instead, I slipped it into my jacket pocket and pulled out my phone. One quick text to Cleo. Now. Aren't you going to sign? Lana pressed, her smile faltering slightly. I'll think about it, I said, turning toward the exit. My phone buzzed with a text from Lana. Sign, or I'll ruin you. I stopped at the door and looked back at her, surrounded by her admirers and investors, basking in the glow of success she thought she'd earned. Then I typed back, You just did. The cool Boston air hit my face as I stepped outside. 23 years of marriage, and it had come to this, a public ambush at her moment of triumph. But Lana had made one crucial mistake. She'd forgotten who actually owned the foundation her empire was built on. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. My phone rang before I even reached my car. Cleo's dry voice came through the speaker. Account freeze is in motion. Software licenses will be suspended in 30 minutes. The contractors got their termination notices 5 minutes ago. Cleo Marver had been the financial controller at Lana's firm since day one. What Lana never realized was that Cleo reported to me. After all, I was the one signing her paychecks. Loyalty, I'd learned, was often just a matter of who held the checkbook. What about the expense reports? I asked, sliding into the driver's seat. Oh, you're going to love this. I could hear the satisfaction in Cleo's voice. Every single one of Lana's business trips with Hale, champagne at the Ritz, boutique hotels in Back Bay, those expensive client dinners, all documented. And here's the kicker. They never left Boston. Not once. I had to laugh. So she was cheating on me with company money in our own city and keeping receipts? Gets better. That $9,000 dinner at Mistral last month? The one she claimed was with the Morrison Group? I checked. The Morrison Group was in London that week. But guess whose credit card was used at the same restaurant, same time? Hale's. Bingo. They've been coordinating their stories, but they forgot to coordinate their paper trail. I started the engine and pulled into Boston traffic. What's the damage looking like? For them? Catastrophic. Every personal expense tied to Hale is now Lana's debt to the company. The investors are getting freeze notices as we speak. The staff is already packing up. My phone buzzed with another text from Lana. What did you do? I ignored it. Cleo, I need you to do one more thing. Name it. Send those expense reports to the Boston Business Journal, all of them. Let them connect the dots about our city's newest power couple. Consider it done. Oh, and Rylan, Jasmine is still live streaming. Lana's meltdown is going viral as we speak. I hung up and typed a response to Lana's text. You told me to sign and leave. I just left first. The satisfaction was immediate and overwhelming. For months, I'd watched Lana parade around town with Hale, thinking she was clever, thinking I was blind. But while she was playing house with her lover, I was playing chess. My phone rang again. This time it was Soren Valden, my attorney. Rylan, the papers are filed. Damages claim for misuse of company funds, breach of fiduciary duty, and fraudulent expense reporting. How does it feel to be officially separated from a cheating wife and financially protected in the same day? Like Christmas morning? I said. What's next? Now we wait for her to realize that every asset she thinks is hers is actually yours. The firm, the brownstone, even that BMW she drives. It's all in your name. And Hale? What about him? He's about to discover that sleeping with someone else's wife is expensive when you're not the one with the money. I was almost home when my phone lit up with a call from Lana. I let it go to voicemail, then played it back. Rylan, please, we need to talk. This is insane. You can't just destroy everything we built. Everything we built. That was rich. I'd built it. She'd just put her name on it. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I parked across the street from Hale's luxury condo building and waited. Patience had never been my strong suit, but 23 years of marriage to Lana had taught me the value of timing. At 11:30, Hale's Tesla pulled into the parking garage. I'd planted an AirTag in Lana's purse weeks ago, a little insurance policy that Cleo had helped me with during one of their business lunches. Technology was beautiful when you used it right. I followed him into the garage, keeping my distance. Hale parked in his reserved spot, clearly agitated. He kept checking his phone, probably getting updates about the firm's collapse in real time. When he got out of the car, I was waiting. Hale! He spun around, nearly dropping his keys. Rylan! What are you doing here? Having a conversation with the man who's been spending my money on my wife. Hale tried to back toward the elevator, but I stepped closer. The parking garage was empty except for us, our voices echoing off the concrete walls. Look, I don't know what Lana told you, but she didn't tell me anything. Cleo did. $9,000 at Mistral, $1,400 at the Ritz bar, that weekend at the Copley Plaza. Should I go on? His face went pale. Those were legitimate business expenses. Really? Because I called the Copley Plaza. You booked a suite, one bed, for 2 people, on a Tuesday night when Lana told me she was visiting her sister in Connecticut. I grabbed his jacket and pushed him against his precious Tesla. Not hard enough to hurt him, just hard enough to make my point. Here's what's going to happen, Hale. You're going to stay away from my wife. You're going to stay away from my business, and if I ever see you within a city block of either one again, you're going to wish I'd called the police instead of handling this myself. You can't threaten me, he stammered, but his voice shook. I'm not threatening you. I'm promising you. I pulled out my keys and dragged them along the side of his car, leaving a long, deep scratch. Compliments of the husband. I walked away, leaving him standing there in the garage. As I reached the stairwell, I heard a sound that made me smile. Hale was crying. My phone buzzed with a text from Cleo. Expense reports just hit the news. Channel 5 is running the story at 11. Perfect timing. I got home to find Lana sitting on the front steps of our brownstone. She looked smaller somehow, deflated. Her designer dress was wrinkled, and her makeup had smeared. The locks are changed, she said without looking up. I know, I changed them. Rylan, please, we can work this out. It was just business. I sat down beside her, keeping enough distance to make my point. That's what Hale said too. Funny how adultery becomes business when you get caught. I never meant for it to go this far. Which part? The cheating or the getting caught? She finally looked at me, and I saw something I'd never seen before in Lana's eyes. Genuine fear. The firm is ruined, she whispered. The investors pulled out. The staff is gone. Jasmine quit. Everything's gone. No, I corrected her. Everything's mine. There's a difference. What do you want from me? It was a good question. What did I want? Revenge? Justice? An apology? Maybe all of the above. I want you to understand something, Lana. For 23 years, I supported your dreams. I funded your education, your firm, your lifestyle. I believed in you even when you didn't believe in yourself. And you threw it all away for a man who can't even afford his own dinners. It wasn't about money. Everything's about money. You just forgot whose money it was. My phone rang. Soren's name appeared on the screen. Take it, Lana said. I'm not going anywhere. Rylan. Soren's voice was cheerful. Have you seen the news? Not yet. Channel 5 just ran the story. Local architecture firm collapses amid financial scandal. They've got the expense reports, the hotel receipts, everything. Lana and Hale are officially Boston's most talked about couple, and not in a good way. I looked at Lana, who was staring at her phone with horror. There's more, Soren continued. 3 of Hale's other development deals just fell through. Apparently, his investors don't like being associated with cheating spouses and financial impropriety. Who knew? What about the brownstone? Eviction notice will be served tomorrow morning. Since it's in your name and she's no longer your wife, she has 72 hours to vacate. Lana's phone started ringing, then mine, then hers again. The vultures were circling. Rylan, she said, her voice barely audible. I'm sorry. I know you are. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry you lost everything. You're sorry your reputation is ruined. But you're not sorry you did it. I stood up and walked to the front door, pulling out my new keys. Where am I supposed to go? She called after me. I don't know, Lana. Maybe Hale has room on his couch. Oh wait, he's probably getting evicted too. 3 days later, I was in Soren's office reviewing the final paperwork when Cleo called. We have a problem, she said. Lana and Hale are planning something. What kind of something? The kind where they try to frame you for emotional abuse and financial manipulation. I heard them talking in the parking garage outside my apartment building. I put the phone on speaker so Soren could hear. They're meeting tonight at the old construction site on Atlantic Avenue. Lana wants to record you threatening her, then use it to claim you forced her into the affair through psychological abuse. Soren leaned forward. That's actually not a bad strategy. If they can prove coercion, they might be able to void the financial claims. Too bad for them I saw it coming, I said. Cleo, how good are you with that recording app on your phone? Very good. Why? Because we're going to give them exactly what they want. A recording. Just not the one they're expecting. The plan was simple. Cleo would arrive at the construction site first and hide near where Lana and Hale were planning to stage their ambush. She'd record their conversation, getting their real plan on tape. Then I'd show up for the meeting, but I wouldn't be alone. This is either brilliant or insane, Soren said. With Lana, there's no difference. That night, I drove to the construction site with my old friend Denny in the passenger seat. Denny had worked construction with me for 15 years before I moved into investing. He was solid, dependable, and had no love for people who thought they were better than everyone else. You sure about this? He asked as we parked. Absolutely not, but I'm doing it anyway. The site was half finished, concrete and steel reaching toward the Boston skyline. Perfect place for an ambush, if you were into that sort of thing. Lana was waiting near the main building, just like Cleo had predicted. What she didn't know was that Cleo was already in position, recording everything. Rylan, Lana called out as I approached. Thank you for coming. Let's get this over with. I want to make a deal. I'm listening. Drop the financial claims, give me back the firm, and I'll disappear. You'll never see me again. And if I say no? That's when Hale stepped out from behind a concrete pillar, holding his phone up to record. Then we go public with evidence of your abusive behavior, Lana said, her voice suddenly stronger. Emotional manipulation, financial control, isolation from friends and family. Interesting theory, I said. One problem. What's that? I pulled out my own phone and hit play. Cleo's recording filled the air, Lana and Hale planning their frame-up, discussing how to manipulate the evidence, even laughing about how stupid I was for falling into their trap. The look on Lana's face was worth everything. You see, the thing about recordings, I said, is that they work both ways. Hale tried to run, but Denny was faster. Not to hurt him, just to make sure he didn't get away before the police arrived. Because yes, I'd called them too. Attempted fraud was still a crime, even when it was personal. "This isn't over," Lana said as the sirens approached. "Yeah," I replied, watching the red and blue lights reflect off the unfinished building. "It really is." 6 months later, I was sitting in my new office, smaller than Lana's had been, but mine, when Cleo knocked on the door. "The final settlement came through," she said, handing me a folder. "Lana signed everything. No contest." "And Hale?" "Moved to Portland. Apparently, Boston wasn't big enough for his reputation anymore." I opened the folder and reviewed the documents. Everything I'd built, everything I'd funded, everything that had been stolen from me, it was all back where it belonged. "You know what the funny thing is?" I said to Cleo. "What's that?" She could have just asked for a divorce. I would have been fair. I would have been generous. But she had to make it public. She had to humiliate me. And now? Now she gets to live with the consequences. Through my office window, I could see the Boston skyline, full of buildings that other people had designed and built. Somewhere out there, Lana was probably starting over, learning what it felt like to build something from nothing. I hoped she was good at it, because this time, she'd be doing it alone. The yellow envelope was still in my desk drawer, unopened. I'd never needed to sign those divorce papers after all. Turned out, when you control the foundation, you don't have to worry about the building falling down. You just have to decide who gets to live in it.